Hi everyone, welcome to the Akron Zoo. My name is Autumn, I'm an educator here at the zoo, and we have missed seeing you so much, we thought we would take you on a short little tour so you can visit some of your favorite animals. So many of you may know these guys. This is a great photo op with our penguins, which is right outside of our penguin habitat. So let's walk over and see what the penguins are doing. And we've got a close-up view of Pedro here. He is by one of our windows and he's kind of hanging out, relaxing, sleeping. So Pedro is one of our Humboldt penguins. We've got about 16 penguins here at the Akron Zoo. And he's turning around, we're interrupting his nap apparently. Now one of the ways that we can tell that it's Pedro is by looking at the color bands on his flippers, on his wings. So he does have certain colors on those bands that identify him as an individual as well as a male. You might notice that he's got a black band around his flipper. That's like an ID bracelet. So all of our boys in this habitat have black bands, and then the girls have white bands. Now looking through this space, we can, oh, hello, somebody else came out to visit. We can see that they are, looks like they're sheltering at home too. Most of them are inside their burrows today. We can see one of our other males is kind of sticking out. We see the behind of another who looks like they're thinking of coming out to visit us. And then we have a couple, a male and female pair sitting here together. So if I can't see their bands, I have a hard time figuring out who they are. And we just had one that gave us a little show. So these guys are from South America. They got their name from the Humboldt Current that actually comes up to kind of close to the coast near Peru. So these guys are not super cold weather penguins. They like it to be a little bit warmer. We know that because when the temperatures get really down low in Ohio, they choose to stay inside their houses just like we do. We can see them coming down, and these guys are great swimmers. And one of the problems that's facing them is they actually build their nests in guano, in their penguin poop. They'll build their burrows, and that guano is often harvested because it's really rich in nutrients. It's used as fertilizer.
So Finley would like to know, how cold is the water that they swim in?
Oh, Finley, how cold is the water? It is about 52 degrees. Now the water is not heated here at the zoo, but it does go through a filtration process that does keep it just slightly warmer than the surrounding air temperature. So some days we'll see them swimming around, others they're like, no thank you. We've got little bits and pieces, they're coming out to say what's going on. I thought people were here. Got to say hi to all the people that are coming to visit us today. We've got a female who finally made it out. She backed her way out of her burrow. All right, well, let's keep moving along. And we're going to quickly stop off over here at our waterfowl pond.
Really fast before we move on to the waterfowl, Gwen would like to know how old penguins can get.
Penguins, their median life expectancy is about 16 years. And our penguins, we have our oldest one right now will be 14 years this coming, I believe it's in the fall. And our youngest one is just around 4 years old, 3 to 4 years old.
Two. He's 2 years old.
Two. Oh, well, Elena thinks you can answer that. So here's another view. It doesn't look like anybody wants to come out and swim right now.
So Brianna wants to know why the water is green.
Oh, why is the water green? So this water is not salt water. And so over time it does build up some algae. We actually completely drop the pool a few times a year to give it a great scrub. But the water goes through a filter every day so that the water is nice and clean for them because they leave lots of presents in the water. All right, so let's come back to the waterfowl. We've got some really pretty types of waterfowl in here. We're coming into breeding season, so the males are nice and pretty. That one that Elena is getting a close-up right now and deciding he's gonna go swim, that is called a Mandarin Duck. And they are not native to North America, but they're related to a duck that you can find here called a wood duck that has similar colors as this pretty guy. Now the other one that's black and white and brown with that long skinny beak, he's called a hooded merganser. And he is a boy. He is swimming up to a female, so you can see that the girl is much duller in color than the boys are. Boys are working on attracting those females right now. Now these guys are what's called diving ducks. So they will dive all the way under the water to catch, there she goes, on cue, to catch her fish. And she can do a pretty good distance under the water. Now this potsherd that's coming up, a Bear's potsherd, is more of a dabbling duck. So when he goes underneath, you're most likely just gonna see his behind bobbing in the water. He doesn't go all the way under the water all the time.
So Madison and Everly would like to know what and how much do waterfowl eat?
Oh, it depends on the waterfowl. So a lot of your dabblers, most waterfowl are going to eat a lot of vegetation that's growing right at the edge of the water or near the bottom of the pond. And they're going to eat a little bit throughout the day. I don't know how much in total pounds. Some of your divers are going to be more of a fish eater. If the ducks can get worms, grubs, they're going to love that stuff. But one of the things that people don't realize is that it's not good to feed them bread. A lot of people will go to feed the ducks at the pond and bring some old bread, but really that's not a good source of nutrition for them. If they don't eat it all at the time you give it to them, it can actually grow mold on it or algae that can make the ducks sick later. So if you're thinking of bringing food for them, do some pieces of kale. They'll enjoy that as well. It would be like us eating ice cream every day, which I don't have a problem with, but we want to keep ducks healthy.
So Penny wants to know if we have any baby waterfowl yet.
No baby waterfowl yet. It's a little bit early for these guys to be hatching out babies. So sometimes you might come to the zoo and you might see some fancy displays, dances that they're doing as they're trying to attract their boy. There we go, the hooded merganser's got his hood all up because he wants to be like, hey girls, what's up? So we have a lot of different kinds of ducks here at the zoo. In this pond we've got 9 different types of waterfowl. And that doesn't include our mallard visitors that show up. The mallards, they have decided this is a great place to get free lunch, so they will come and hang out here sometimes.
So Isaiah is eating carrots with his lunch today, and he wants to know if the ducks also eat carrots.
You know what? If we did some shredded carrots for the ducks, they would probably enjoy that. They might not like a big chunk of carrot. But yeah, we'll give them something called a waterfowl diet to eat, and it's kind of like cereal. It's a pellet that's got all of their vitamins in it. Sometimes we'll do grubs in there for a treat, and we'll put kale or some other things in there for added nutrition.
Gwen would like to know where the Mandarin Duck got its name.
That's a good question. I'm going to have to look that up. I am not sure where they got their name.
So Nate wants to know if waterfowl have any teeth, and if do they go to the dentist?
Oh, Nate, I like that question. So, waterfowl don't really have teeth. A lot of ducks have almost, it's like a sandpapery feel to their bill on the inside that helps them sort of filter out water. Those mergansers with that thin beak, they have like a serrated edge. Think of like a steak knife. And that serrated edge helps them catch their food, but they don't have teeth like we have teeth. And so they don't go to the dentist. Woohoo, waterfowl. No dentist. All right, well, let's keep moving on. Let's walk through our path. We'll see where we come next. We can see that We still are waiting for some of our plants to grow back. It's in the spring. We've got a robin that came to visit on the side, looking for food. And here we are to go and see the lemurs. Now, I wonder if you guys have missed our lemurs. Go ahead on in. And I know last week, if you were on our Facebook Live, you got to see some of these guys. And first off, what you guys are looking at are our blue-eyed black lemurs. And you're saying, wait a minute, Autumn. Now, they're not both black. So, the boys are black, and the girls are that kind of tanny red color. So they do look different. The boys and girls look different. And they are on their way moving around. These guys are an endangered species of lemurs. They're actually critically endangered. But these two individuals here are brother and sister. So we're probably not going to be having babies from them. And then this is one of our ring-tailed lemurs. And I'm trying to look at their faces. So we have two ring-tailed lemurs. We have Gidro and we have Nathan. Now, Gidro is just a couple years younger than Nathan. And I think this might be Gidro sitting here grooming his tail.
I think you're right.
From what I can see. So one of the ways that we can tell is Gidro tends to have a little bit more of a rounder face than Nathan does. Nathan has a little bit more of a pointier face. We're seeing those blue-eyed black lemurs are coming to check and see what Gidro is doing.
So Penny wants to know, do they all have blue eyes?
So the blue-eyed black lemurs do have blue eyes. They have those nice, pretty light eyes. I don't know if you can see her eyes. They definitely show up more in that black fur of the male, but there's still that pretty blue color in that female, that light color. And if you look really closely, you might be able to see their hands. Their front hands have a toe, or a thumb, similar like we have. And so do their back hands or feet. And these guys are primates. So instead of claws, they have flattened fingernails. But they're really good at jumping. Oh, now here we have some other lemurs. These are red ruffed lemurs. And we have a small group of these. They're all females and they're all related, but they are different ages. So you can see them with that nice red, kind of brushy, bushy fur. Right now we're doing some ear grooming. And the others are just kind of hanging out, resting mid-afternoon. If you look through their habitat, you can see that they have some enrichment in there. And they have, it looks like some different plastic playing balls. They've got a hammock in there that they can sit on and swing if they want.
Aubrey wants to know, how much do the lemurs weigh?
Well, they weigh different. So these red ruffed lemurs are around 9 pounds. The ring-tailed lemurs are a little bit less, around 7 to 8 pounds. And the blue-eyed black lemurs are even smaller. They're around 4 to 5 pounds.
So Danny would like to know, how far can they jump?
Ooh, Danny, they are good jumpers. And I think it might be slightly different by the different type of lemur. Some lemurs, like the red ruffed lemurs, they live in the trees mostly. But our ring-tailed lemurs are going to spend time on the ground. So we're going to see anywhere from maybe 10 to 15 to maybe even 20 feet that they're able to leap and jump.
Brianna wants to know if they hang by their tails.
Ooh, Brianna, that's a really good question. No, Brianna, they don't really hang by their tails. So their tails are not prehensile for the most part. They will hang by their hands or their back feet. They'll use their tails mostly to help them steer as they're jumping through the trees.
So someone is asking if the black one, so I'm guessing they're asking about Murphy right here, is he a baby?
Is Murphy a baby? No, not really. He is young, but not really a baby. Murphy is about 4 years old. And these guys can live to be about 15 to 20 years, so he's not really a baby.
So Rosie wants to know sorry, Rosie, messing up your question. Why do they have long tails?
Rosie, so those long tails are really important to them. And think about, have you ever tried to walk on a balance beam? And when you walk on that balance beam, sometimes you put your arms out to the side to help you balance. That is the exact same way that the lemurs use their tail. They help them balance and move better through the trees.
Joshua wants to know if they have sharp teeth.
Yes, Joshua, they do have some sharp teeth. Their teeth look very similar in some ways to maybe your dog's teeth at the top. But they do have these special teeth in the front, and they've got little ridges on them, and they actually look like a comb. And that's important because they will use those teeth like we use a comb and help groom their fur with them. It's really hard to see their teeth right now. You can just see a little bit of their canine tooth poking out from their lips.
So how many lemurs do we have?
All right, I'm counting. Hold on. We've got 4 red ruffed lemurs. We've got 2 ring-tailed lemurs, and we've got 2 blue-eyed black lemurs. So that would be a total of 8 lemurs.
All right, so last question before we move on to another area. Why do the lemurs have hammocks?
Why do the lemurs have hammocks? Why do people have hammocks? I bet they enjoy laying in them. We find them snoozing and sleeping in there because they do spend so much time up in the trees. It's a nice, comfortable place for them to have a nap. And it's just something different than what they normally walk around on. So we will change the position of those hammocks. The hammocks won't be in there all the time. All right, well, let's keep going. I'm so excited to show you our next animals. Now, if you've been to the zoo before, you probably know who these next animals are. If you haven't, we're gonna leave it a surprise. So come on, let's follow me. We're gonna walk up this hill here. We're gonna see our next 2 animals. Now they are mammals, they have fur, and they're native to South America. But believe it or not, they're actually cousins to camels. So let's go see who they are. Hi, Noel. We're gonna get a couple of different views from them. Let's keep going. There's a better view that we're gonna see. So we're gonna do our switchback. Now, these animals are called alpacas. They look similar to llamas, but they're actually a little bit smaller than llamas. Their fur looks a little bit fluffier. Hi, guys. So we have 2 different kinds, or 2 different alpacas here. This is Ranger. Ranger has this kind of almost blondish fur. Ranger is a little bit older than our other one, who's got the black fur. So Ranger is about 12 years old. And we have our other one with the black fur. This is Noel. And Noel is younger. He's only about 3 years old. Hi, Noel. So, one of their most favorite things is to roll around in hay or straw. Now, I probably can't figure that out at home because you might not be able to see all that straw all over his back. Looks to me like he's been playing in that today. Ranger's coming up to say hi. What are you guys doing? So these guys are from South America. They live high in the Andes Mountains. So they're excellent at climbing mountains and rocks. They do have those teeth on the bottom, but they have no teeth in the front on the top. These guys are primarily plant eaters, so hence the chewing on that hay there.
Joshua, I hope you got a good glimpse of the teeth there that Ranger just showed you to answer your question, what their teeth look like.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see that. He was showing off there. He's looking right at you guys. I think they miss seeing everybody.
So Penny wants to know if we shear their fur.
We do shear their fur. So coming up as we get into the warmer months, we will shear their fur. We may donate it, we may keep it and give their fur to some of the other animals as an enrichment piece. It gives them really good different smells that they're going to be having. And Noel is like, yes, my hay, I'm rolling in my hay. But alpaca fur is actually really, really cool. So it's warmer than lamb's fur or wool. It is softer than cashmere, and it's actually hypoallergenic. That means like sometimes when people wear a wool sweater and they get all those red itchy bumps, that's probably not likely to happen if you wear a sweater made from their fur. And then the fur is taken after they are sheared so that it's a little bit easier for them to get through the summer, the warmer summers. Hi, Noel. Noel's like, who's here? Interrupting my playtime in my hay. And then they'll make a yarn out of that fur. And believe it or not, back in ancient times, the Aztecs would wear these guys. Only the royal people were allowed to wear clothes made from alpaca fur. So they're also kept a lot in herds. They're domesticated here in the U.S., and people will keep them with their livestock because they will vocalize if something strange comes close by, and they'll protect other animals with their livestock. And you can see Ranger is enjoying that hay.
So do alpacas spit in defense?
Yes. When they get afraid or even annoyed, and sometimes they might get annoyed at us, they do spit. Now, some people are like, it doesn't matter, they can spit on me. Yeah, it would be nice if their spit was just saliva, but it is actually a little bit of regurgitated food. So it's not quite so nice as just saliva. So I choose not to get spit on by an alpaca. One of the ways that they can tell me that maybe they're starting to get annoyed is their ears go way back on their head, and that tells me that they might need some of their own space. So I just back up a little bit.
So how tall do alpacas get?
Alpacas, they get to be about 175 pounds and can grow to be about 4 to 5 feet tall in general, and that's as tall up to their head. Some may get close to 6 feet, depending on the type of alpaca.
How many teeth do they have?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know how many teeth they have.
Addie wants to know, how long do they usually live?
How long do alpacas live? Was it Abby? I want to make sure I get
Addie.
All right. So they can live to be about 20 years old. That's their median life expectancy. Both of these guys are still kind of on the young to middle age range.
So Lily wants to know what their favorite food is.
Their favorite food, well, they do like to eat different kinds of really soft growth in the spring. Any sort of new growth they would really enjoy. Either Noel is curious or annoyed with us, so we will see what happens. I notice that as Elena starts backing up. All right, maybe more curious. So here they're going to get, again, a lot of the foods we give them is, if you think about like your dog food at home, it's made specifically for these types of animals, and it's like cereal. It's got all the good vitamins and minerals in it. And then we'll give them different things like maybe carrots. We asked about the carrot question earlier. They might get carrots sometimes. They might get fruits or other vegetables occasionally.
Okay.
All right. Let's move on. We'll keep on going to our next animals, and I see them, and it looks like the male is showing off for the female. But as I see we're walking away, I'm looking behind Elena, who's filming today, and Noel is like, where are you guys going? Oh, he just turned away. He's like, where are you going? Come back. Where's all my friends? So trying to show off to Carlotta. Have to admit, I do love these guys. They are such cool animals. And they're probably going to come down and say hello too. So here we have our two Andean Condors. Now, these guys are the largest flighted birds, and they have a wingspan of somewhere around 12 to 13 feet. So when their wings are all stretched out. They're about 22 pounds, which is amazing to think that these animals can actually get off the ground. Now, let's see if you guys can see who they are. So there's a boy and a girl. Right now, the boy is closer to us. He's got that thing on his head. That thing is called a caruncle, if you can see it. And that is Grok. And behind him, or up a little bit higher, is the female Carlotta. So she doesn't have that caruncle. And if she gets close enough, you're going to see she's got these red eyes. So again, these two are bonded. They really like hanging out with each other. And as they come closer, you get an idea of just how big they are. Now, one thing you notice as they get close is that they have a bald head. They don't have any feathers on their head. And that is really important for what they do. So these guys eat dead stuff. And if they have feathers on their head while they were trying to eat all that dead stuff, there might be some really gross stuff that would get stuck on their feathers. But with this way, it just dries and flakes right off. Now, Grok is definitely trying to show that he is a big, handsome boy to Carlotta. And she is kind of touching his face, which means, yes, I know you're a big, handsome boy. So that means that they do like each other. And that's sort of how they flirt with each other.
So Penny wants to know, how much do they fly?
How much do they fly? So in their habitat, they do a lot of soaring. Out in nature, they fly very long distances, and they can get very high up into the mountains. They live above the Andes Mountains, hence their name Andean. And they can soar. They'll catch what's called thermals. So as air heats, it will rise in these columns. And these guys just have to spread out their wings and hang out on that rising, heated column of air, and they can travel really long distances.
So Joshua wants to know how much they weigh.
So they weigh about 22 pounds. So they are, they're pretty heavy if you were to pick one up. I would not recommend picking one up, by the way, because they do have a sharp beak. But they are pretty heavy, and that's why they need those big wings to help support their body. So these guys, they're in Legends of the Wild. And so one of the legends about them is it was believed that they actually carried the sun across the sky on their back. Their wings were so big that they helped to carry the sun across the sky. So they are very revered, and they're so important. They're so important for keeping the environment clean. Now you can see Carlotta, she must like her hay as well. She's rubbing her head in it. She's in her little house. Now in their habitat, we think we know what we're doing, and we built them a nice little space, a little cave for them to nest in. But Carlotta moved in and she's like, oh no, we're redecorating. And she decided to build her nest over on the ground where that little shelter is now. So every year we try to move her nest, and nope, this is where she wanted to nest. So we ended up building her a shelter over here because she decided that was her nesting spot.
So what do Andean condors eat?
What do Andean condors eat? Dead stuff, mainly dead animals. So a lot of times it's called carrion. You might hear it called carrion, and it would be any dead animal. That's the job of condors and vultures, is to eat that stuff and clean it up. So if you think about how, if you come across a dead animal that's been sitting there for a while, maybe hit by a car, it gets really stinky and really smelly. There's a lot of bacteria that build up on there. And it would, if a person were trying to eat it, it would make us extremely sick. But their stomachs have really acidic stomach juices, more acidic than any other animal. And they can eat all that bacteria and it doesn't affect them. So these guys are really important because imagine all that gross stuff that would be out there if these guys didn't help us keep our environment clean.
So have our two condors had babies?
So they have had some eggs. So far we haven't had any babies though from the eggs. We still keep our fingers crossed. Sometimes the boys need a little bit of help figuring it out. And I know Grok keeps trying to show off his abilities, but so far, no babies, fingers crossed. Now, condors, you can see, oh, here comes Carlotta, she's coming back out. So we can see her, you might be able to see her nice red eyes as she gets up really close. So condors, these guys were born in 1983, so that makes them both about 37 years old. And their median life expectancy is going to be somewhere between 40 to 50 years. So they are kind of up there in age. But they still seem to get along and they keep trying every year.
So as we walk on, we'll ask one more question.
Yeah.
So are Andean condors endangered?
Are Andean condors endangered? They're considered vulnerable right now, so that doesn't mean that their numbers are as low as an endangered species, but it is an animal that we need to pay attention to. So animals like this that have such a very specific type of food that they eat, sometimes if something changes, just a little thing changes in the environment, it can be a real problem for them. So it is a type of animal that we want to keep an eye on. They are part of our SSP program, which is our species survival program. So we do hope that they have babies someday, but it's up to them on if they choose to do that. Now, we have just walked into where our jaguar habitat is. And we're not going to spend a lot of time here because if you look around, you're going to notice there's no jaguar. And that has a lot to do with our weather right now. So jaguars are from South America. They live in the rainforest, Central and South America, and they like it to be nice and warm. And it's not quite that warm here yet. So our jaguar, if you watch Facebook, you probably have seen her. Her name is Milan. And she is gorgeous, she is young, and as soon as the weather gets nice, she'll be out to meet all you guys. Until then, keep watching Facebook to see little video clips of her, because she is such a pretty jaguar, and she'll be out soon. So we'll keep walking, and we'll see if our capybara, Atlantis, is out today. Now again, capybaras live in South America where it's warm, so she still might be inside. And it's looking like she definitely is not out. Or she's got a good place that she's snoozing. So capybaras are the world's largest rodent. They're also a favorite food of animals like anacondas and jaguars. All right, so let's walk through our bat building. Now it might be too dark to see much, but we'll give it a go. If it's hard to see, we'll just keep moving on out. So in our bat building, we've got a couple of different kinds of bats. We've got some smaller bats and bigger bats. So let's see here. We also have a pygmy slow loris. So that's going to be one of the first animals you see when you come in here. But again, it's nice and dark, and if he has decided not to come and visit...
Oh, there she is.
Oh, there. Look at that. I don't know. You guys might be able to see her. So our pygmy slow loris is up there. Now they're a little bit smaller, and they're in a group of animals called prosimians. So that's related to animals like the lemurs. So technically, they are a primate, although they do not look like a lot of the monkeys that you might be used to seeing. Now, as you can guess, she is nocturnal. That's why she lives in this dark space. And you might not be able to see, but she's got nice big eyes to help her see at night. So she's going to be climbing around a little bit in there. And you can see that she is a relatively slow climber. And she's going to have that opposable digit on her feet, kind of like our thumb, and that helps her grip onto branches really good. Oh, and the lights are on. They must be doing some work in there. Yeah, so they're doing some work. They're taking care of our lovely bats. Taking care of their space, and that way we can see them a little bit better. So these are a type of bat that are called straw-colored fruit bats. These guys are from Africa, and they are in the big bat. Scientists like to call them megachiropterans. It just means big bats. Family. So if you look at them, they've got really big eyes. And again, they've got great eyesight. These guys don't really use echolocation because the fruit that they eat doesn't really move around too much. So they're going to use those big eyes to locate their fruit. You can see one of them right now is kind of climbing across branches, and on their wings actually looks like a hand, and he's using his thumbs to help him climb, and he's a pretty fast climber. Not sure where he's going to so quickly. Going to the bathroom. So, ever wondered how a bat goes to the bathroom? You just saw it. They hang from their thumbs and turn upside down for them, and then they go to the bathroom. So these guys are really important. They help pollinate and distribute seeds so that there are fruit trees that grow. And we know that we rely on those fruit trees just like the bats and other animals rely on them.
Joseph wants to know, how many bats do we have?
Ooh. With the straw-colored bats, I believe we've got somewhere around 8 to 12. I'll see if I can find that number for you, Joseph. So yeah, they do live in colonies, and these guys are extremely social. They would not do well if we had to shelter them in home by themselves. They have to be together, otherwise they get very sad. Which means that sometimes they do fight, just like maybe you're hanging out with your family more than you're used to, so you might have some little spats. These guys would too.
So Penny wants to know what their favorite type of fruit is.
You know what, Penny? Here's what is funny, is that each bat, just like you might have a different favorite fruit than your brother or sister or friends, each of the bats have their own favorite fruit. There's some bats that I get to work with, and one of the bats loves banana. That is her favorite thing, whereas the other bat likes grapes more. So it really depends on the individual. We give them all sorts of different kinds of fruit so that hopefully we're hitting everybody's favorite.
Brianna wants to know if we have any bat babies.
No bat babies. I believe all of these guys are female. I'm not positive on that. Let me check my facts. But yeah, no bat babies. Although I do think bat babies are cute.
Do believe the males that we have are neutered.
Okay.
So they're not able to have babies.
Thank you. I'm looking at, so we have 13 females and 7 males. So that, yes, they would be neutered so that they can't have babies. So we do have some what we call micro habitats in here. So these are some of our poison dart frogs. And these guys get their name because they do secrete a poison substance on their back that is used in hunting. But they have to eat some of the poisonous insects that give them, certain insects give them that poison. So it's probably more dangerous for them than it would be to us if we were to handle them directly. All right, so we're gonna get really dark right now, so we go outside of our building, get ready for bright light. Take a second for that. So I hope you guys are enjoying your tour today. We're gonna go and see a few more animals, so we're gonna walk a little bit fast here. Do we have any questions that I haven't answered yet?
Let's see. Oh, so Joshua wants to know if jaguars have fur to keep them warm here in the United States.
Yeah, so all jaguars have fur because they're a mammal, but their fur is pretty short. And so here they still have their fur, but it's not long and thick to keep them nice and warm like our snow leopard's fur is. So we just make sure that we keep them nice and safe and warm in a different environment so that they can stay nice and healthy. And when it gets warm enough, we'll let them go out. We've done some things in their habitat. They actually have a tree in their habitat that we made, and it is heated. So, but it just, if it's not quite warm enough, that heat won't be enough for them. So, 2 weeks ago, we were here at our snow leopard habitat. We're gonna see if they're out again today. Maybe see who's out.
Bunny, I know you're asking about the eagles. We'll not be visiting the eagles today, but stay tuned. We will get to see them soon.
We'll be checking out all the zoos. So, we're here at our snow leopard habitat, and it looks like Bea and Shanti are out. So Bea is right there. I think we just woke her up. She's doing some stretches. And Shanti is snoozing way up on top of her little mountain. You might not even be able to see her. All I can see is just a little piece of her back.
Yeah.
So Bea here is just coming up on a year old in just another week or two, I believe. She's going to be 1 year old. So she was born here. She was a single baby, only child. So she's been hanging out with mom, and I think mom needs some alone time now. So, Bea might be staring at the Tahr who live right next to her. They're kind of close up to her. So eventually, baby snow leopards will stay with mom for about 1 year to 2 years. So she'll be with mom for a little while longer, and then she will go and live at another zoo where she will find a mate of her own.
What do snow leopards eat?
So snow leopards are carnivores, which means that they eat meat. They've got those nice sharp claws, and they've got strong teeth that they're going to use to catch their food. So out in nature, one of their main food sources is like mountain goats, like the mountain Tahr that live next to her, or any sort of mammal or bird that she could catch. Here at the zoo, we give them, it's a diet that's specifically made for large cats, and it looks a lot like ground beef. So that's what she gets here. 1 day a week she'll get a big cow bone, and that is a day that she will get her teeth taken care of as she chews on that bone. And then 1 day a week we give her what we call a whole food item, which is a whole prey item. Now it's not alive. We take it out of the freezer and defrost it just like you do your chicken or your cow at home.
So, what are the names of all of our snow leopards?
All of our snow leopards. So Bea is the one you're looking at right now. Her mom is Shanti, who is sleeping and can't see her up at the top of their habitat. And then her dad is Tai Lung. We call him Tai for short. And he is not out here. In nature, dads would not spend time with the moms and babies. These guys are considered solitary, which according to the books means that they like to live by themselves. But sometimes we have found that there are some snow leopards that do like to have company of another snow leopard.
So, what are the snow leopard's favorite thing to eat?
favorite thing to eat. I know Shanti's favorite thing to eat, and she gets it for treats, is chicken. So I know she's gotten things like chicken breast before. And when she is doing training sessions or she's working with the vet, chicken is often the treat that she gets because she loves it. I don't know if Bea has a favorite.
I don't know about Bea's, but I know one of Tai Lung's favorite treats is goat milk.
Oh, goat milk. Oh, nice.
So how many babies can snow leopards have at one time?
So they average about 2 babies. They can have up to 3. We did have, about 3 years ago, we did have a set of 3 cubs. But generally you'll find 2 babies at a time.
Theodore wants to know, how much do snow leopards sleep?
How much do snow leopards sleep, Theodore? Not as much as lions, and they sleep all the time. Snow leopards, we'll find them sleeping probably a good half of the day. They'll do sleeping. So if you think about it, animals, it's all about making sure that they've got enough energy to catch food so they can get more energy. So they really look at ways that they can conserve their energy. They're not like us that are looking ways to expend energy. So they will spend a lot of time sleeping and conserving that energy to make sure that they've got it when they need to catch their food.
Isaiah would like to know, how old can snow leopards get?
Snow leopards can get to be about 18 to 20 years old, I think. Yeah, so that's about their median life expectancy, somewhere around that. And Bea, I said, is just about a year old. Shanti is, right, hold on, she was born in 2008.
She's 11.
11 years old.
Wesley would like to know what her favorite thing to play with is.
I believe they like their boomer balls.
And Bea also is a big fan of Mom's Tail.
Oh, yeah.
With Shanti, not as much of a fan.
No. I think Shanti tolerated it when Bea was younger. Now, not so much. We've seen Bea try to sneak up and pounce on Mom. Mom is not amused.
So, Chrissy, you're asking if Tai Lung, our male, is named after the one from Kung Fu Panda. So while they do have the same name, we actually were not the ones to name him. He came from the Blank Park Zoo in Iowa, where he got his name just like the one from the movie.
That's fun.
So, and then one last question. Do the animals miss seeing the public?
I think they do. They seem to be a lot more time sleeping. So I think they miss seeing all the people coming by. I know some of our animals love to see the kids come up, and they'll try to come up and play with the kids. So we know that they're definitely waiting for us to be able to open our gates and get you guys all back in here so that they can see you and you can see them, because they are so cool. Now, we do have our Himalayan Tahr over here. So I see 2 of them right now. So that is our Himalayan Tahrs. We've got 2. And our Himalayan Tahrs are older. So these guys are what we call geriatric, which means that they need some special care. They might need a little bit more time moving around, or a little bit more of a smooth place to walk on. So we keep an eye on them. We actually let them choose if they would like to go inside. So they have an inside space or bedroom that is behind these rocks, and they can choose to go in there if they just need some alone time, if they want to go and hang out or relax that's not out here. So they are mountain goats. And one of the things I think is really cool and interesting about goats is if they came up to us, we would see that the pupils of their eyes are not round like ours, but they are like a slit, like a horizontal slit. And that actually really important for them. It helps them to be able to have a really good field of vision. So they can see almost all the way around them. Just right behind them, they're not able to see straight behind them. And that's important for an animal that other animals like snow leopards might try to eat. So they're going to want to make sure that they keep their eyes out for everything that's going on.
So, how long do the Himalayan tahr, how long can they live?
Ooh, I'm going to have to look that one up. Give me a second. So they have been known to live up to 22 years in zoos. And let's see, they are 18 and 19 years old. So they're working on getting pretty close to that 22 years. So yeah, they are older. All right, so we're going to take a little bit more of a walk. And we've got 2 more animals in our Legends of the Wild area to show you. And so you can also see we are doing some work throughout the park. You might not see it. We're working on making sure that everything is nice and spotless. We're working on repairing things for when you guys get back in here. And I know in our education department, we miss talking to you guys. So we may come out here on Facebook Live and talk to you a lot because we miss being able to do that. So we're going to walk up here a little bit further, and the next animals we're going to see are our musk deer. Now the musk deer are small animals. They're the type of deer. They're not super tall, and let's see if we can find them. They are, so the males, instead of antlers, the males actually have fangs. And so people thought at one point they were like vampire deers with those fangs coming out. But it's actually just kind of like a tusk, a form of an antler that the males will use to show off to the females. All right, not seeing them yet. They must have a really good spot that they're hanging out in. Oh, here we go. There's me. They're nice and close.
That is Anastasia, our female.
So yeah, Anastasia's our female. So she is out here. I don't see Vlad, our male. So you might not be able to see the tusks. So these guys were hunted because they do produce a musk or a smell that has been used for perfume. So they are, I believe they're protected now. And Anastasia, since she has been here, she's been here for about 3 years now, has had 2 babies since she's been here. So she has been a great mom.
So the babies are no longer here. They have since gone to other zoos.
Now in this habitat, and it looks like everybody has decided to go inside right now, they also live with some geese. And I can see the geese. I don't know if you guys, oh, there's Vlad. Vlad was over in the corner. There is the male. You might be able to see his little tusks right there. That's why people thought that they were a vampire, because he's got those 2 fangs that almost give him that vampire look.
So what do Siberian musk deer eat?
So these guys are herbivores. So they are going to eat plants and grasses. Here at the zoo, you can actually see they've got some of their food right up front. And again, it's a pellet. So it's made specifically for these kinds of animals, and it kind of is like cereal. But we'll also give them some different things like hay or maybe some other types of vegetation for a treat sometimes. Well, here comes the red-breasted geese have decided to make an appearance, followed by the emperor goose. So these are some of, the emperor goose has the white head, and the red-breasted geese have sort of like that rusty colored chest. So those are some other animals that the musk deer live with.
So how many deer do we have here?
So we have 2 at the zoo. So we have Vlad and Anastasia.
Vinny wants to know, where do the deer like to sleep?
They like to sleep anywhere that they find a nice spot at. So we will see them generally around the edges of their habitat. They'll find a nice spot to curl up and take a nap in. But they do have, if you can see, I think the red-breasted geese are deciding to go back inside. We do have a barn, and it might be hard to see, but we've got plastic flaps on that barn That helps keep the heat inside, but the deer can choose to go inside or stay outside. So if they want to go in their barn, they can.
So as we're walking away, one more question. How long can the deer live up to?
So these guys are going to be a little bit shorter of a lifespan than some of our bigger deer up here. So we're gonna look at probably somewhere around 10 to 15 years, but I'm gonna confirm those numbers for you guys. Now, our last group of animals right before we leave today is our flamingos. We have our Chilean flamingos, and it's nice enough, believe it or not, for them to be outside. So if you come in the wintertime, sometimes they are inside their house because the temperatures are too cold. But you can see them all standing out there right now. So these guys, a lot of you know already that their color, that pink color, comes from their food. So their food is going to be, depending on the type of flamingo, will be either a type of crustacean or a type of algae that helps give them that nice pink color. You can see that they're standing on, a lot of them are standing on one leg right now. Now here's the biggest confusion about flamingos. You see when they walk, they're like, why do their knees bend backwards? Very confused by that. That is not their knee. That is actually their ankle. And they're arguing right now. Just like us being at home with our family, we love our family, we love being with our family, but sometimes they might get on our nerves, so we have to argue with them.
So how many flamingos do we have? Stand by.
I believe we've got 22. I just counted 22, so hopefully that's the right number. So they're all out today. So most of our flamingos, I believe, are female. We do have most of them are male. We do have a few females in here. And we were lucky enough to have a baby flamingo a couple of years ago. Now, Josephine is her name, and she is in here someplace, but she looks like all of the other adults. When she was born, she was all gray, and her beak was actually straight. It didn't have that curve that the adults have. And that was important so that mom and dad could feed her. Now, as they get bigger, their beaks turn down because they will filter that food, those crustaceans like little shrimp or algae, out of the water as they eat. Now here at the zoo, we don't give them shrimp, but they do get this special diet. It's floating all over the water right now, and it does have like freeze-dried crustaceans in it. So they still get that shrimp just in a little different way than they would get it out in nature. And you can see that they still get that beautiful pink color here. So as I said, their knee is, we think their knee is actually their ankle. So it's kind of like they're walking around on tiptoes. So when they stand on one leg, it's kind of like us when we do that sort of shifting back and forth from foot to foot when we've been standing for a long time.
So how do the flamingos tolerate the cold?
So just like us, they do have those feathers that help keep them warm. So we watch temperatures very closely. So there's a certain temperature. It could be the temperature could be colder if the sun was out. They could be out in that. So we watch them and we look for things that's going to tell us that maybe they're not comfortable if that temperature isn't working. So as we're looking across these guys, they are acting like normal flamingos. They are hanging out, they're snoozing, they're stretching, they're feeding. So nobody is shivering or acting like they're cold, and that's some of the things that we would look for.
All right, so we've got time for one more question. And so Hallie is asking, do we have vets on staff full time?
Yes, we do. We have Dr. Brittany, and she is here full time. Maybe you guys will get to meet her.
Very soon.
Oh, yes. She's very nice, and she is here full time. We also have Dr. Kim, who takes care of the vets. And if they're not available, we have other vets that come in to help us out. So, I don't know anybody else like these animals who get house calls. from their doctor. But the vets will come in and take care of them. Vets will help with training of the animals, because I don't know about you, but when you take your pet to the vet, they get very scared. So the vets will come here and do training and give treats to the animals, so that the animals really like the vets as well. So that's really great that we've got such great veterinarians to help take care of our animals. All right, guys, well, thank you. And hopefully we'll be able to see you real soon, and you're enjoying this lovely tour today. And we will see you again tomorrow. Have a great day.